passionate about little things, so I love that.
Of course.
So we're going to have to go right to the start, Kerry-Anne. Hockey, when did it first come into your life? Was it the day you could walk, or did dad sort of like keep pushing you towards the rugby ball and he's like, can you stop picking up the stick?
Now, to be fair, it was when I was 8 years old. My school offered hockey in our little game sessions that we got on a Friday afternoon, and went to my first hockey session and absolutely loved it. Yeah, and that's kind of basically how I started, and then from there I kind of progressed um, through playing club and stuff, and then worked my way. But when we were younger, we were doing all types of sports. It's a bit of a joke in the family that I've tried a lot of different sports before I actually found my actual sport of hockey. With a couple of tantrums on the way, but yeah, it was great, and I was really fortunate enough where my street is like quite a quiet street, so we always used to play in the street. We were the street kids and just like Tig, and then we made up random names and Red River and all that sort of stuff, Polo, Kirby, and then we
What game?
fortunately lived around the corner from Harriet's rugby grounds. Shock, near rugby field, and we went round there and played rounders, and Dad took us and smashed the ball about. But I can't really remember picking up a rugby ball when I was younger. Like I would maybe be on the sideline, but I wouldn't really go towards the rugby ball. He
No.
quite liked going to a different sport because then he could watch something else. So that's
I love the thought of your dad having like there's no rugby balls in the house rule. He's like, no, as soon as I walk out that door, I'm sick of it. So I want nothing. He saw you got the hockey stick, and he's just in the back. He's like, yes.
yeah. Because to be fair, my brother played hockey, so my brother hated rugby when he was younger. But growing up, like absolutely, would refuse to go to school because he has to play rugby. And then when he moved in senior school, he then picked up a hockey stick and loved it, was obsessed. And my dad didn't bat an eyelid. He was just like, you know what, if he's enjoying a sport, then that's all I kind of like. And the first time I went to go and watch my brother, he started like screaming like he's offside, ref, like all this sort of stuff, and the ball went forward. It's like no, it can do that in that game. So yeah, he needs to learn the rules a bit. But
Wrong sport, Dad. Love the passion, but wrong sport.
Yeah, but no, it's
That's amazing. So you know the question I'm going to ask you when you mentioned you have a running joke of a lot of sports didn't really go your way. What sports were these?
tennis.
Really?
I went to tennis because obviously my brother did it, so then I had to follow in his footsteps. And I was actually quite good, but to warm up, we played like, you know, when you hold the tennis racket and the ball and you do the egg and spoon race, like love and life, obviously was winning. And then somebody stood in my shoe and then my shoe fell off and then I lost the race. And I'm not joking, I didn't go back to tennis again because I lost that race. I barely sure that's how embarrassing. Then previous to that, I completely forgot. I was a ballerina, and I was that kid that was holding on to the teacher's hand and like waving at the side, being like, "Mom," not dancing whatsoever, and I was not coordinated. Gymnastics, did a bit of that, got injured from that, but I also couldn't do the splits nor touch my toes, so it didn't really work well for me. What else did I do? Cross country, cried every single race. But I actually did okay, like in it. But I actually would have like the biggest meltdown before it.
What caused the meltdown?
Yeah, I just would freak out. I was scared. I didn't like the like pushing and shoving at the beginning, so that was freaking out. And I had when I was younger, like I got diagnosed with like asthma. So like every time I finished a race, I was having an asthma attack. But that's like we didn't know whether it was asthma or me just panicking and freaking out. So it was like a mixture of both.
I was gonna say asthma and long distance cross country running don't really lend into each other.
It doesn't. It really doesn't, especially when it's cold, and that's when you normally run cross country. So that wasn't great. And what other sports did I do? Did a bit of dance. I was shite at that. Sorry.
22 minutes in and the censoring has stopped. You went from sugar to shite.
Well, yeah, there's a couple of different sports, and then I did actually. So then I started like honing in on hockey. Oh no, I did ice skating. Forgot about that one. I actually was okay. I was going to be the new person, new John and Sinead Kerr. They're kind of like really good, like brother and sister who did ice skating. And my brother tried it and he was shite so as well. So we did that. But then hockey and ice skating clashed on the same day, but I wanted to do some hockey. So I pushed my hockey and then did athletics as well. So like worked athletics and hockey either side and then had to pick from there. So I did quite a few sports.
You gave it a good try. You didn't just find one with that. You really you tested the waters.
Yeah, and each time like I learned something new. Tennis,
Exactly.
I learned you can't chuck your toys at the pram, and if you don't win, it doesn't matter. Ice skating, if you fall down, you have to pick yourself back up, or you're not going to ice skate. Yeah, learn loads of different things. Gymnastics, you're rubbish at that. Dance, you're rubbish. Just leave it be. Move on to a different sport.
In fairness, if there was one sport I wish my parents had sent me to, it'd been gymnastics. Like you see, every time you watch the Olympics or the Commonwealth, or even just the championships, you're like, I don't know how a human can do that.
Yeah, it's incredible. They're amazing, and they're so strong as well. Like you watch them, and you're like, oh, you're making that look so easy, but oh my days,
Yeah.
I can't even hold myself. Like I'm too heavy. I just drop.
You're speaking to the 5'8" former prop, so I respect that. People worry when I go to, like, you know the trend of like decompressing your back. It's like all the rage at the moment.
Yes, I have to do that for my rehab, and I can't do
it. Get one of the like stretch bands. You put one of your feet in that, and then that takes some of your weight, and then you just let it drop.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to try that tomorrow. Excellent. Thank you for the fun fact. Fun tip.
It's how to make sure, like, my little arms, the arm version of cankles is what I call them. Like ergonomically designed not to wear a watch. Like I just have forearm and hands. Like I don't have wrist.
Oh my gosh, I've never heard that phrase. That's class.
I think I might have to coin it because not many other people have, but they do normally get that reaction. But
no, that's very good. I think.
Listeners, if you are a member of the RARM community, let me know. We will get some sort of helpline arranged because I got a watch for my 21st birthday and I think I've worn it like 4 times because it just is uncomfortable.
Bless you.
Okay, so how do you get back to a serious podcast after declaring that you have fat wrists? Hockey. I want to talk about hockey as a sport because I went to play it in PE. This is why I love doing this podcast because, like, when people read this thing, they never think they're going to hear 2 people just giggling about arms for 10 minutes.
No, that's the way that you did it. You're like these.
This little T-Rex motion. People are going to think I'm like so ergonomically flawed. Like if they just listen to the audio, this guy must be the most weird looking man on the planet. So we get to hockey. You've done all your sports. You've tried everything. You've cried at other kids for stepping on your shoes. You've fallen over a few times on the ice. Mm-hmm. When did you decide hockey was a safe sport? Because we did it for PE, and everybody was like, "Oh, rugby players are the big hard guys." And we used to look at people that did like hockey or mountain biking and said, "You guys are psychopaths."
Yeah.
Because if you've never felt a hockey ball, or even worse, if you've never heard somebody hit a hockey ball, it is like a brick.
It's pretty brutal to say the least. It's I never actually have like been like, oh, this is safe. But I've just gone, oh, I really like this. This is fun. So yeah, I think the day that I start fearing about the ball, I think that's when you probably need to step away because then your reactions are off. But no, I love it because like you can trust yourself and like the more you do it, you can kind of react. You kind of know how it works. Do you know if you hit a ball or like the way that you see somebody hit a ball, you know it's going to come towards you. To be honest, I feel safer in like international field, somebody drunk looking at me than I do on a school pitch. Like I can't tell you the amount of balls that have smashed my feet, or a kid that I've been standing still has like turned around and like smashed me in the shin. It kills because you're not wearing any shin pads or anything because like on gum shield you don't coach with a gum shield and shin pads on. But oh my gosh, the bruises that I come out with from teaching actually in school, and my only concussion I've ever had, touch wood, was when I was coaching, because the ball just went up into the side of my head and I was fully concussed. Bad. Wow. Yeah.
So teaching is the real danger here. It's got nothing to do with the sport.
Yes. So. Yes. Don't coach or teach. Just play it because you got safety equipment with it. You've got a stick to protect you.
You say you've got safety equipment. I don't know who thought the rules and like the mechanics of the sport and thought all they need is a small piece of rubber in between their teeth and like small bits of like thermosetting plastic down their sock, and then that's fine. And then somebody went, no, that's a bit anarchistic. And you went, yeah, that's right. We'll put a very thin sort of face mask on for a short corner, which I can only compare that to being put in front of a firing squad. because when we did it for PE, and they went, "Okay, boys, this is the short corner," and it was always, for some reason, it was just the men's, like the boys rugby team and the women's hockey team, and
Yeah.
immediately the teachers took that as this is boys v girls. And we obviously were like 16, 17, giving it big looks. We're like, oh yeah, we're the greatest thing since sliced bread. And we're like, we'll defend the short corner, we're fine. And then we did the first one, and one of the girls at my school, she literally, she took a golf swing at it like that. They prime Tiger Woods stepped onto our pitch, and she literally just leathered it, and it flew like between me and my best mate, like between us, like head height, and like hit the roof of the net. And because we had like, you know, the old school hockey goals that were like 3 bits of wood and a metal bolt bar.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, the people. I don't know if you ever went to People's High, but like that's not changed. Yeah. That's still there. Like, so we had that, and literally this thing dinged as in like an old cowboy movie when they used to spit in a bucket.
Oh my God.
And like, you've never seen 14 boys just like stop and stand still and just go, like, this can't be allowed.
That's class.
So like, who does the safety for this? Like, are you guys campaigning for armor? Because I would be.
No, not at all. Like, to be fair, the short corners are getting they're getting a wee bit more dangerous because people are becoming more powerful, especially in the men's game. The power behind their drag flick is ridiculous. So I don't know what's actually going to happen with that. And like, yeah, if I'm in the PCD, penalty corner defense, like I chuck on everything as much as possible but the people are like, oh, why would you actually run out to the ball? But actually, if you run out to the ball, the closest person, you're actually the safest person. And that's what they always say, like, the closer you are to the ball, the safer you are, because actually the trajectory of the ball isn't going to be that quick. But if you stand further away, it gradually increases pace. It's going to then smash you and hurt you. So, yeah, that's why you basically see people, like, run at people who are just about to take this, like, ruthless shot, because they know that they're actually safer. And if you then block, so, like, their follow-through swing, you can then stop the power of the ball. So, like, you kind of try and get your stick in to then, then stop the power. Yeah, it's really interesting. So, yeah.
All right, so I've just realised people might not know what a penalty corner is. So can you give me the very briefest, like, how it would look on a pitch? Like,
okay. So basically, if a foul happens in the circle, so if a defender kicks the ball, then basically what happens is 4 defenders have to, so time stops, 4 defenders have to go in the goal with their goalkeeper. So there's that, like, they're here. And then the attackers stand around the outside of the circle. And basically, it's kind of like football where you can kick the ball in and then there's like set plays that people kind of create. So the ball gets like injected by the injector trap and then you basically can go towards goal. But you're not allowed to hit it above backboard height because it's dangerous on the first shot unless you're like lifting the ball controlledly, like safely. So yeah, and it's basically like 7 people versus like 5. No, quick math: 8 people versus 5 people. So technically you should score, but actually it's quite hard to score because it's like such a small area to try and like do loads of like 2v1 and stuff. Hopefully that makes sense. Sorry, that was probably a wee bit longer than I hoped.
That makes perfect sense.
Thanks.
Five people get told stand here and basically kamikaze run towards the ball.
Yeah.
8 people stand around the edge of a very small circle. And you have to try guess which one's going to hit it at you, and then you have to get there.
Yeah, that's it. Look at that. Brilliant.
Get me on the coaching scheme. That's it.
Okay.
Because my genuine mantra for that would be scream really loudly as you run forward, like a pure intimidation tactic. Yeah. Like it would look like some sort of like Native American film. Like, just yell.
Love.
So you've now done hockey. You found the sport for you. You've realised that this is suicidal in the politest way possible while you're trying to play for 80 minutes. You start then getting really good at this sport, because I know whenever people like to say that they are really good at stuff, but if you're representing your country, you're very, very good at something. So you then start getting picked up to these like under 18 squads and things like that. How do these come about? Like, so you're playing at school at this moment, or have you got a club alongside this as well?
Yeah, so started off at school, and then from there I then so I was young, I did like the junior program. There's quite a lot of actually Scotland's really good for its junior setups, loads of different clubs. So I went to Callow Hockey Club and trained on this every single Sunday, and then every like 4 weeks or so they played little tournaments against all the other junior clubs, and it was like the cutest thing. I loved it. And then from there, I then started trying to. They then put me forward to trial for something called East District. So it's like districts. So like there's East, Northwest, Southwest, Highlands,
Mm-hmm.
and then you trial basically. So Edinburgh's kind of like the East, Glasgowish is the West. You trial to try and get into that squad, and then they do. Well, this is back in the day. It's changed now. But they do like a tournament against all these different districts, and then from there, the Scotland coaches come and watch you, and then they then pick the best players that they see, or they want to like see trial, and that started in, I would say, about October, November time. We had the districts. So then in December, January, that's when you had your trialing phase, and then April, like March, April, May, June was when we did the international season. So yeah, that's kind of like how like it all started. So yeah, did school, then went to club, and then club kind of put me forward for these districts. And then when I started getting a wee bit better at school and seeing at school, they then started putting me forward, and I just worked my way through 2 years at each age group. Started off under 14 mixed East District was my first one. And that was like 7 aside, and it was the cutest thing. And I've still got like an old photo, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm tiny. And then did that 2 years in a row. Then did on 15s, 16s twice, 18s, and then each year I kind of got selected for like the Scotland side of things. So yeah, started off with under 16 development Scotland, and funnily enough, my first ever like Scotland development game was actually at Durham against like a USA team, which is so weird now that I'm actually here and playing on that same hockey pitch. Well, newly laid, but it's like same facility. So.
Same place, same area.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So yeah, that's how you kind of like work your way, but it's completely changed now. They've got different, and then like I worked from like 18s, then onto 21s, then 21s kind of stepped through to the seniors. But nowadays it's completely different. They've got like Emerge and I should definitely know this, but they've got different names for them. So it's like performance and development we used to call them, but now they're calling them like emerging and inspiring and emerging or something. And then it's basically
okay. It's like growth levels, like development. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like they kind of work themselves through that. So yeah, there are definitely different links and stuff. But other people, so some people didn't get the opportunity when they were younger. And then we used to have a tournament called the Super Series tournament where they brought in like the best of the best in Scotland, club players to play against each other. So we had like Edinburgh Lightning, Dundee Devils, and we played a massive tournament. And then from there, the Scottish coaches would come and watch. And a couple of my friends had been selected from then to step into the senior squad, even though they didn't they didn't get pulled in through. So yeah, there's loads of different ways and different routes. It's amazing. It's cool.
I love that. I love those big sort of franchise ones where they just bring people together and play them, because I know that's quite common in other sports. I didn't know they did that in hockey, so I love that. So when you say they do those tournaments, are they just like a one-day thing and it's like shorter games, or is it they do like a mini season type thing where it's like 3 or 4 games in a couple of weeks?
Wish could do a mini season, but so when they did do it, they haven't done it for the past because of COVID and stuff. They just didn't do it. So pre-COVID, they did it twice, and it was literally Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They just did like a round robin. So I think it was 3. So, and they did like full games, so like a full proper game, like music and all that sort of stuff. And it was held at Glasgow Green National Hockey Centre. And then after COVID, like they've not done it since. I think they might bring it back. I don't know as of yet. But it's a good way to like actually have a
Sounds like a good weekend out, yeah. Make it like a sevens tournament. I'd make it like a sevens tournament. That sounds good.
No, it's definitely not nights out. It's definitely performance focused and wanting to. Yeah,
I didn't mean for the people playing. I meant just like a weekend out.
Yeah. 1,000% for the people. Well, when you see people watching, not a lot of people come and watch hockey, so that's the next part. But we'll hope we get there.
That's how we get this. It grows takes just a few people.
Absolutely, sure.
Yeah, see, 2 people go. Everybody brings a friend. Then you got 4. Then you got.
That's really good maths. I can't do that.
How the first sevens tournament started. Just took 6 people. Go, I'm going to go watch that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have it on good authority. That is how the first ever sevens tournament went down. Just 2 people.
Bro.
Actually, I think it was something about making money from Melrose, but we won't discuss that. They've got enough money. I go to their clubhouse to commentate. I've seen their cash. So when you got called to that development squad, I love hearing about the people In fact, because when we see athletes and we see people from the world of sport, we get very desensitized to their emotions because we see the performance side of what they do. When you get these under 16s development scorecard, when you get the under 18s age representative call ups, how does this affect you? Because obviously people forget when somebody sees U18s, they think, oh, young adult. They don't think technically still at school, could be as young as fifth year in high school. So how does Kerry-Anne, the person who's still laughing, joking, thinking, I've got double maths on Wednesday and now I've got to make sure I'm getting past it in because I've got Holland at the weekend or something like that. Sorry, Netherlands.
Yeah, no, Holland, Netherlands, yeah, no, the same. To be honest, like because I was brought up like playing sport basically every single night, every waking minute, it wasn't too much of a difference for me. And it wasn't that I was forced into it. My mum and dad were amazing for supporting me. If I didn't want to go to training, they would sit me down and go like, okay, why do you not want to go to training? And not be like, no, you're going, like you have to do this. Now, don't get me wrong, some days they were like, Kerry-Anne, you're going to training because number one, we paid for this, and number two, you're just being lazy. But like if I actually had hurt myself or I had too much homework, they'd be like, okay, that's fine, we'll miss this tonight. But then let's try and get to the next training session because I love my sport. So going and playing like England or Ireland or Wales or the Netherlands and getting smashed 15-0 one weekend. Yeah, it was like kind of having like two different lives in a way because like school Kerry-Anne, yeah, like I was good at sport in school. But yeah, you just have to sit down and crack on. Like you're not anything special. Like you need to do well in your classroom activities. Do you know what I mean? Like you have to be getting your homework on time. They're not going to give you that excuse of, oh, well, she was, I don't know. Well, yeah, fair enough. If you're actually playing like a hockey tournament, they would kind of be a bit more lenient. But if I just had training, they'd be like, you have to get on with it. Like it's your choice to go and train. Like you need to get an education first. So yeah, it's kind of like two lives in a way. Like I would leave school and then kind of go training, and then yeah, we get to go to a tournament and get read out in assembly. Like, oh, Kerry-Anne was playing here with like read out and just yeah, it was just a bit
How did those assemblies feel? Were they like was it like a
awkward.
cringe or was it just like this is
Yeah, cringe. Because like to be fit, well, like at the time, like yeah, cringy because I was like, oh my gosh, like that's so embarrassing. Like I don't want to talk about myself. I don't like like I wouldn't toot my own horn. I wouldn't really tell people like what was kind of happening. Unless they asked me, like a sensei or my teachers. But yeah, I didn't like getting read out in assembly. It was really awkward. But now, working in a school, I'm like the teacher that's complete opposite. Like I big it up as much as possible because at the end of the day, like in a way, I reckon like I wish it was celebrated a wee bit more because some of these things are cool. Like I look back and I go, Kerry-Anne, at that age that you're playing for Scotland under 16s against like a Netherlands team, that's amazing. Like not a lot of kids get the opportunity. Why didn't you celebrate it more? And that's one thing that I now struggle with is celebrating the small wins rather than actually the bit like I wait for the big wins for an actual fact to be able to succeed in your sport or life. You have to be able to celebrate the small wins and be really happy and proud of like them. Because if you try and strive for the bigger wins, you're going to be disappointed like quite often. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, so I'm like that teacher's like, you're amazing, I'm so proud of you, like you don't realize how good you are. Like I try and give them as much positive energy as possible, especially women in sport as well, because we put ourselves down like a fair bit or we don't get as much like oomph and coverage, you know. Like I think they deserve, women in sport deserve it as well.
Oh, you're preaching to the choir there. I've got myself in more trouble for bigging up women's sport more than I should in permanent jobs, but I'm not allowed to talk about that. But
that's all right.
the people that I helped know who they are, and they've helped me in return. So big love to them. But yeah,
amazing.
You can do a bit of deducing if you go on to the podcast history of who it is and who they've helped, because I don't know many international people, so if I know them, it's normally through an event.
Yeah, that's fine.
Hey, thank you for listening to this Clips episode on YouTube. And then if you want to hear the whole podcast, you can find them on Apple or Spotify, as well as the full video version on this YouTube channel, alongside all the other great content we produce on a weekly basis. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope to see you again on another Clips episode or in the full episode podcast. Tweet us, tag us, let us know what you thought. All the links are down in the description. It means the world that you guys come and support us, so thank you very much.